The name T-Roy, once whispered in alleys, corner stores, and basketball courts across Chicago, represents more than a single life. Born James Johnson, he became a living symbol of loyalty, violence, and the street code of Parkway Gardens, famously known as O Block. Unlike many who rose to fame as rappers, T-Roy's notoriety came from his actions, not his lyrics. Yet his name echoed through songs, mentioned by figures like Chief Keef, BossTop, and most importantly by his best friend King Von, who would later adopt the nickname V-Roy in tribute. Together, T-Roy and V-Roy carved a legacy of fear, power, and respect, with over 20 bodies allegedly tied to their names. This is the story of T-Roy, a boy from Parkway Gardens who became a legend, a cautionary tale, and a symbol of the deadly grind of Chicago streets. James Johnson was born on October 30th, 1993 in Parkway Gardens, a neighborhood in Chicago's South Side. At the time, the area was still largely residential, with families trying to survive amidst rising crime, poverty, and systemic neglect. T-Roy grew up in a traditional household, with his mother Shirley, his father, 2 brothers, and multiple cousins. Unlike some of the neighborhood kids who were raised in broken homes or under direct gang influence, T-Roy's early life had a semblance of stability. Yet tragedy was never far. The Johnson family was tightly knit. Shirley raised her sons while also looking after cousins like Zelmana, Eli, and Mario, some of whom outsiders mistook as siblings. Even from an early age, James witnessed the fragility of life. His older brother Slutty and younger brother HK would later be killed in street violence, while other family members like cousin Elmona tragically took their own lives. These losses, layered atop everyday struggles, shaped T-Roy's understanding of loyalty, protection, and survival. Parkway Gardens in the late 1990s and early 2000s was still quiet compared to later years. Kids played basketball on crack courts, families attended local churches, and block parties brought temporary reprieve from the city's struggles. Yet violence was never far. Older gangs like Boss City and Dog Pound, later evolving into STL and Wick City, had established early turf wars. From childhood, T-Roy witnessed shootings, arrests, and the cycle of retaliation. The streets taught him lessons no classroom could. Surrounded by friends and family caught in these conflicts, he learned that reputation, courage, and loyalty were survival tools. At Dyke Academic Center, T-Roy crossed paths with future rap star Chief Keef, who was already drawing attention for his music and street antics. These early interactions weren't just social, they were formative. Conflicts, alliances, and rivalries were seeded in hallways and basketball courts, shaping the future of Chicago's drill scene. T-Roy, though smaller in stature, around 5'2" and 130 pounds, was fearless. Early scuffles taught him that physical size mattered little. Quick reflexes, courage, and tactical thinking were everything. Eventually, he moved from fists to firearms, famously writing on social media, "I do not fight, I'm too little." This wasn't bravado, it was a calculated declaration. T-Roy understood the stakes and prepared for them. Before 2007, Parkway Gardens was relatively quiet, with no clear gang dominance. By 2007 to 2009, names like BossTop, Spike, BJ, Big A, and King Von began consolidating influence, gradually transforming the block into O Block. Older members armed younger recruits, training a new generation in the code of retaliation. T-Roy, still in his teens, was drawn into this world. It wasn't ambition that pulled him in, it was loyalty to family, block, and friends. By 2011 to 2012, T-Roy had earned a reputation for being fearless, strategic, and unwavering. Alongside King Von, he formed a lethal partnership, marking the beginning of their infamous run of retaliatory shootings and revenge killings. The Johnson family tragedies fueled T-Roy's resolve. Slutty, his older brother, died protecting King Von. HK, the younger brother, would later avenge T-Roy's death by targeting his killers. Cousins and friends, some lost to suicide, others to shootings, reinforced the harsh reality of life in O Block. These events weren't abstract, they were personal. T-Roy's loyalty was not just the gang codes, but the family's survival and revenge. Every decision, every shooting, every confrontation had context rooted in bloodlines and neighborhood allegiances. By 2011, T-Roy was actively participating in shootings and robberies. His first major notoriety came from defending Chief Keef from rival gang members. These early encounters proved his tactical skill and fearlessness. After King Von's release from jail in 2012, the duo's partnership escalated. On April 28, 2012, they allegedly killed Marlon King Doc Monroe, marking the beginning of their documented body count. From that moment, T-Roy's reputation grew exponentially. Rivals feared him, locals respected him, and rappers immortalized his name in songs. T-Roy's rise wasn't gradual, it was explosive. Within months, he and Von were linked to multiple murders. Murder of Modell, October 2012, retaliation against Jaro and STL members. Stunner, June 8, 2013, alleged shooting, resulting in a civilian casualty. J Money, September 2, 2013, retaliatory strike leading to death of a 67-year-old bystander, Billy Sargent. LA Capone, September 26, 2013, studio shooting that shocked the 600 crew. Lil Mark, March 28, 2014, retaliation for disrespecting songs. Each act increased his reputation, but also intensified threats from rival gangs, STL, EBT, Jaro City, Mob, and 51 Young Money. Despite arrests and jail stints, T-Roy maintained influence, carefully balancing visibility with tactical discretion. From 2014 to 2016, T-Roy faced repeated arrests, unlawful possession, probation violations, and other charges. Yet even behind bars, his influence remained intact. He avoided social media traps that others fell into, unlike King Von. He built alliances with younger recruits, ensuring loyalty and continuity. He used periods of incarceration strategically, returning to the streets with renewed purpose. By 2016, T-Roy had survived more assassination attempts than most could count, each shaping his reputation as untouchable yet mortal, a complex figure walking a razor's edge. On Valentine's Day 2017, T-Roy, 23 years old, walked into a grocery store on the 2000 block of East 77th Street searching for TB, an enemy involved in prior conflicts. Surveillance captured him in the store with TB and Can't Get Right, moments before TB allegedly shot him in the chest. Despite evidence, TB was never charged. T-Roy's death sent shockwaves through old block, yet his name and legend only grew. The block adopted the nickname Get Back Gang, continuing cycles of retaliation and street code T-Roy embodied. T-Roy's story is more than killings and arrests. It's about loyalty, family, survival, and the cultural ecosystem of Parkway Gardens. He became a cautionary tale, a legend, and a symbol for a generation navigating Chicago's drill-infused streets. Even after his death, his influence persisted. Rappers immortalized his name in tracks and lyrics. Younger recruits studied his tactics and street strategies. King Von adopted V-Roy, spreading T-Roy's legacy globally. T-Roy's life may have ended too soon, but the streets of Chicago continue to whisper his name, reminding all who listen of a boy from Parkway Gardens who became a legend.